Greetings and welcome to the energy of Aquarius. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Tarot of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. We shall be doing and conducting essentially a review or a view on the projective aspects that may emerge from a connection with another person in terms of Aquarian energy that usually points to the 7th house of Leo. Okay, now with what we've had in the past, last month with the Lion's Gate opening in the sector of Leo, the solar energy of Leo, in which the star of Sirius or the Leonidian galaxy was essentially highlighted, the gateway opened up for Aquarius. 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th house, okay? Now, the 6th house is usually indicative of the everyday, the ritualistic. At the same time, in Vedic understanding, it is a house, it's a Dustana house, it's a house of blockages, obstacles, enemies. There's also the house of purification, in which the energy of Virgo is able to curate or bring forward a sense of purity on the material realm. Okay, so this has to do also with work, and the ability that work can be a hindrance in terms of what is trying to be manifested, which is activated through Leonic energy, Leo energy in your 7th house, okay? So it could be that there is an element of work that has to do with your relationships, okay? That has to do with the gateway opening in August and moving into September, the fruition of such things, okay? Now, with all of this solar energy, that aspects the double emphasis of the Sun in the 7th, and then opposite to that, Saturn, a lesson emerges in which you are able to structure or perhaps crystallize something in terms of what you're dealing with others, in terms of what you're dealing with others in work especially. And because Aquarius is such a hard-working sign in bringing forward the New Age, as well as the principles of bringing in forms of technological advances, even meditation or spiritualism, there is a degree of science behind it that can be sort of altered, or that can be altered by Uranus primarily, in order to bring forward the genius of Aquarius. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start now. In terms of this ritual, we're looking firstly at karmas that may exist in the month of September for Aquarian energy. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, if you are trying to bring forward the end of a cycle, or the end of a way of doing things, it's important not to take the burden too literally, okay? Because this has to do with the opening up of an idea, the opening up of some sort of intuition or premonition about what is going to happen, okay? The realm of expectation is closing. When it comes to this. This is not to create fear. This is not also to make one question their own intuition. This type of energy, when it comes to karma, it speaks of essentially being informed in some sort of way, where you get an intuitive hit and there's a possibility of realization of some sort. I think you've made the choice when it comes to choosing one thing or another. There's on one side the past, and then on the other side the future. What you are possibly negotiating in the month of September is a way to bring forward the structure that would allow for time, energy, and resources to flow in the right way. There is a conservative approach to what you may be approaching in September that's telling you to conserve your time, conserve your energy, conserve your resources, especially your money, that would allow for fruition of some sort in the more, especially the fruition intent, that the intent of essentially closing off a way of doing things. But don't carry the burden by yourself. This speaks about essentially having two hearts, okay? Or two ways of doing things, two paths. And essentially, you've chosen one of them. One of them has to be in the past, one you've left behind, one in the future. And there's a sort of closing off of energy in order to preserve your strength, your power, and your resources. And essentially, this is an act of wisdom. It also is an act in which you may appear conservative, but in actuality will help bring forward a structure of reason, of logic behind all of this. Now, with what is being indicated here is essentially Jupiter, which I believe is in Aries. It could be in another sign, but Jupiter essentially is the aggravating force here, where it is infused with Martian energy, and there is a need to do something. And as you fixate on your own reality, there's a possibility of something great coming in terms of your own resources, okay? Now, we are going to the Great Mirror. The Great Mirror is a 9-card spread, a tool devised by the Order of the Twin Sun in order to see particular karmas that may be effective or affective between Aquarius and a significant other. Now, the idea of this is to pull forward the Yod formation, which is the houses of the opposite that are adjacent to the opposite. Which is, it triggers for Aquarius the 4th and the 6th house, okay? This means that something can emerge in terms of structures that you can devote your time to, okay? And this is the theme that you may be dealing with in terms of another person. Structures of social normality, of labeling, of compartmentalizing, of really sort of looking into the details of the connection in order to see how it is fundamentally stimulating in terms of your creativity. If it is not, then usually Aquarius will discard it. If it is inducive to that, it brings forward a sense of newness, life, possibility, then Aquarius will try to sort of curate that and to manage it. It's like growing a plant. You would have to sort of primp it and sort of cut it or weed it to water it, to nurture it in some sort of way. Let's see what happens. Once again, so this is a big thing for Aquarius. This has to do with the closing off of one heart in order to open another. Okay, this has to do with the alchemy of fire. And what is fire? Fire is an element that consumes until it is satiated, until it is nothing. So there is an element here of the expansion through Jupiter with Mars energy into the dissolution of certain burdens of the heart. Okay, This speaks about the burnout, okay, effect that may be occurring for Aquarians in September when it comes to a particular other. So it symbolizes the end of a cycle, the sort of move into new forms of inspiration, the pioneering energy that comes through primarily the Fool, as well as the Temperance card, which is transmutation alchemy through the bridge of fire, okay, the bridge that is on fire. I want to figure out more about this. Okay, there's disunion, there's union. There's domesticity, there's the femme en place, there's sages à vie, and naissance. Okay, so let's figure out more about this. Okay, so the cards are saying that there is an element of clarity in an order that has to do with the end of something. There's a feeling that both of you say are disparate, inactive in such a way that you're letting things work themselves out. The sun's energy here with Taurus and Gemini, the two is very strong, and the 7 and the 3. This has to do with converting the expectations of another into a humanitarian edge. Finding the way to say something also is here. Something that is not said, but it's gestured towards. Okay, and this provides order for both of you. It provides clarity. But it does speak volumes in terms of a way of expecting something, not getting it, and then having it return in some sort of way. This speaks also of a type of conscious way of doing things without being overly attached to the expectations within the connection. Okay, I think you deserve an apology from someone. This is a possibility, but the irony is that you won't get it. There also is something about even if they did, it wouldn't be understood. There would be a veil around it. Neptune clouds the connection on a conscious level. There's a veil between you two. But beneath that veil, there's something consciously known about someone who could not keep their boundaries not being respected on both ends. Okay. This also speaks of the enterprising nature of the Sun, Leo, solar energy, and then the conversion of that into something else. Okay, this has to do also with sort of losing the idea, and in losing that, both of you are unified in terms of that loss. Okay, the idea of that loss. So it's rather convoluted, it's very complex, but at the same time it's very clear on a deeper level. What emerges is a sense that you've made the choice, you've always had this feeling about this connection. Okay, this is a possibility, it doesn't have to be a finality, of essentially finding the truth by leaving the sort of the trappings of the mind aside, leaving the trappings of communication aside. Okay, and this allows you to garner wisdom on your side, lots of wisdom, but at the same time it is effectively sort of reflecting a critical dimension that you have on the connection that sort of limits you, but at the same time it provides a sense of this type of wit or wisdom that you have in terms of understanding the connection. At the same time, you have always provided them with a sense of newness, and they are also going into a new chapter. There's something about them dealing with an externalized connection or their own world that is consuming them in terms of their time and their attentions, their affection. And this allows for what? Some form of path that emerges, okay? The right thing to do would be to do what they are not doing but are trying to do. And even then, that wouldn't be your path. There's something about it that speaks of the Four of Cups versus the Six of Pentacles. Okay. This has to do with despondency, space, trying to understand oneself within their own reality and not having it colored by another. This also has to do with duplicity. They are mathematical in nature. They do things in terms of division, and also there's something about them that I like, that also they have a need to be egalitarian in some way, shape, or form. And you have your own space, but I don't know if you want to take the offer in terms of an apology. This looks like a friend. It could also be someone who is close to you, but then they've changed, and so have you, dramatically, to the point where what you seek out is a sense of knowing. Okay, when it comes to the mirror, there's a lot of liquidity to it. There's a lot of water. We have the Page of Cups, we have the Nine of Cups, and we have the Seven of Cups. Okay, so this is pointing to a lot that has to do with the shortcomings of human expression. Okay, the shortcomings of the creative capacity, the even romantic capacity of any connection. This has to do with also sort of being detached from all of that at the same time, even though there's a very strong emotional coloration to the mirror, to the sort of reflective quality that you have with this person. There is a lot that has to do with the potential of love or humanity or camaraderie, of grace between humans. But at the same time, there are certain shortcomings that make both of you pensive in such a way, such a degree. In terms of this, the advice is to take patience in what you are doing, to understand that there's something about you that acts or behaves in a mysterious way that will be revealed to you in due time, in terms of how you are trying to ground yourself yet also be immersed in emotion. There's something also about it that speaks of this type of connection where there's a certain degree of ill fate, in a Shakespearean sense, ill fate, but it's not really a tragedy. It's something of a sort of cosmic conundrum where the very limitations of our own human expression are limited and are also, through patient reflection, reflective of something that is common to all humans, something that is more humanitarian in nature or degree. That is the best I can do for the time being. I do wish you well. Thank you. Bye-bye.